Hello, crocodile fans. So we have a cartoon version of an extinct one called Purussaurus. And this is from Wave 1, letter C, of this Beast Ton line from Kong Species. And they're the other two. There's four in a wave, and the other one. Okay. Yeah, still gotta get the Smilodon. On the bottom, by the way, there's some QR stuff, which I never go to. There's this card. You're supposed to be able to register the thing, but I never do. So for me, it's a waste of money. And since I can't really read Chinese, it's not going to help me out. But I can understand why that's in there. It talks about the app and stuff. This is it in the wild, like, well, the wild of a tabletop. And a little image of the same thing from the box. Then we have this really nice foam, because these are made of rigid plastic, like polyurethane, but a hard one. And so they're prone to probably breaking, just based off some of the other things I've gotten from this brand. So I'm carefully taking this out. I don't want to snag the bag, rip off a claw or something like that. Let me put this back. So if you look at these images, this is a skull of one of these things. It's a very wide skull. So these are the only parts that have been found throughout South America. These things lived in the Miocene era of time, and so the estimates of the size of this thing vary greatly, between like 5 meters and 16 meters, and between 2 tons to like 9 tons, or 14 tons. So we don't really know how big they are, so you got to take some of these images with a grain of salt. But that's a guy in red and this is like a 10-meter long version. This is it compared to some other things like a modern day alligator, right? So this is basically like the kind of thing you would expect to see in those that Primeval movie or any other crocodilian movies. Although this is a caiman, it's not considered a caiman. It's not considered an alligator or a crocodile, or unless caiman are considered crocodiles, because it looks like a crocodile. And that's the extent of my lack of knowledge. So I apologize for that. And let's look at this toy here. So you have this faceplate here, and it's got quite a bunch of shades of green. It's a matte finish. The light might make it look glossy, but it is matte finished. And you can see the eye is white with a black pupil. There's a little bit of green on it though, so some airbrushing may have come after the fact, or maybe not enough white. Maybe that's the issue. But each of these scales here has like a pimple on it, which is interesting. It has a few teeth on this faceplate as well. And you can see the variation of scales quite a bit just on this piece alone. On the inside, we have these hexagonal shapes, but then we have these magnets. These round things are neodymium magnets, and there's 2 on the other. Oh, there's 3 actually right here. So these will go into this thing, so we can see this robotic inside of this cartoonish thing. So this is probably the gear for the jaw. Oh, it did say this thing can put out like estimated 7 tons of jaw bite force. 7 tons. So that's great. That just snap you in half, no problem. So there's a magnet, there's a magnet, there's a magnet. The magnets are well hidden. Here's a gear for a leg or something, and you can see like springs or something in the jaw, and there's a little eye socket thing there. I'm not sure if I'll be able to fit a jewel bead behind that. I guess I could fit a really shallow one. So let me come back and do that. So a dollop of school glue and one of those cheap little crystal beads you can buy, like packs of off AliExpress. And I chose a green one, of course. So it doesn't get in the way pleasantly of this faceplate. Yeah, decent fit in the faceplate. You won't even know here. The only giveaway... There's really not much of a giveaway. Right? I bet if you gave this to someone, they wouldn't even realize it comes apart. So that's the beauty of all the scales in this particular design. Alright, let's continue around the side of this thing. So we got some overlapping teeth there, and then much bigger scales. And it's really smooth here on the bottom of the mouth, and some squarish scales here for the belly. Same with the legs, but then they get really small there. And tiny little claws on the feet, which are pretty funny to look at. Some sort of skull that it probably chomped on, or maybe it's a skull of another one actually. That's what it kind of looks like. You can see these giant plates of armor here, pretty cool to look at. It's like on a rock. This is a brass plate telling you in English and Chinese what it is, and they filled in the etching with black paint. It's really high quality. This base might look like wood, but it's actually plastic just with a couple brown paints on it to make it look like wood. The bottom is just this gear motif. Frankly, I'd rather see a skeleton of this thing, but oh well. So now we have a nice short tail, which I appreciate because it won't break off too easily. These spikes are pretty sharp. It is rigid plastic. Don't try to flex them. Okay, so same on this side. Yeah, some weird, again, more of those pimples or whatever on these things. And then the snout, no black paint, but it's dark in there, so it looks pretty good. And yeah, the other eye matches up pretty well. No indication of any ears. I'm not sure if you can ever see ears on crocodiles. And look at the skull image. It would be somewhere around behind the eye, somewhere like there, according to that image of the fossilized skull. So, alright, it's interesting because it's very matte finish, yet you associate these types of reptiles with water. So I'm actually surprised that it's not glossier. Yeah, again, you might look glossier because I have a really bright LED above us, but it's very matte finish to me. Alright, we're just going to compare it to something called the Meolania, which is like a really heavily armored tortoise, or turtle, I can't remember. But it also has giant scales, and it's also green. It's possible. I can't remember what era of time that Meolania came from. If I had to guess, maybe an earlier period of time. So I don't know if this thing could have possibly preyed on that. They're obviously not to scale, I don't think. Anyways, they're both finely detailed, really cool stuff. These ancient beasts, they're listed as ancient beasts in English a lot of the times, but clearly the box said ton. So, appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned if you like this stuff. I'm going to try to get every one of these castings, but I got to warn you, they are pricey. I'm pretty sure they're handmade, like hand molded out of silicone molds, and then hand glued together, and then hand painted. So that might explain the price. Thank you for watching. We'll see you. Bye.